Hello, everybody. It's your old friends at Monday Madness, and welcome to another episode of the That Was Liquid Football podcast.
Woo!
I've got no jingles this time, lads, because the laptop's over there. I'm too lazy to set up the speaker, so
Okay.
we'll just pretend that it happened. Okay, pretend the jingle was there.
Oh,
There we go.
Striker!
In all fairness, though, turns out Alan Partridge was directing football today. Oh well, the last weekend.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was fucking crazy. Let's just get into it.
I love it. Yeah, I love that we literally just left the internet at the right time when football was at its most broken. So now we all needed like a little 2-week break to fucking digest what the fuck happened last weekend. It was pretty much like the football equivalent of like a 2-week bender in Las Vegas, basically.
Do you know what? Like, the thing is, as the weekend went on, I demanded the TV off the Nordy more because like I watched like shit matches on Saturday, which at the time I thought they were good and they were enjoyable, and there was enough tension and points at stake at my fantasy football team that I had enough attention on Saturday. And then Sunday came along and I was like, no, I actually need to see these matches because there's the teams like Arsenal were involved and I wanted to get obviously I'd be interested in that. And then I was like, oh, Spurs Man United, I don't want to watch that, but like that could be a shit show. And oh my good God.
You were half right.
And then I actually didn't watch the Liverpool Aston Villa match because
I didn't either.
Nordy at that stage was like, fuck this, I want to watch whatever the fuck he wanted to watch on the TV. So I was like, fair enough, I've had it all weekend.
Yes.
I'm not going to miss Liverpool drubbing Aston Villa 4-0, which is what I had down as my on my ACA. And I was like, fuck, what the fuck? Like, you were messaging us and like neither me or Neil believed you at all. Like, I had to go on Twitter, stop what I was doing, go onto Twitter and like, oh yes, they're having a meltdown.
Yeah.
I
having the meltdown to end all meltdowns.
I didn't watch this because I had the Seahawks game to watch. Unbelievably, the NFL Seahawks game was on at the same time, and I was like, fuck it, it's I did the same thing. I thought it was a foregone conclusion. Now this isn't the Villa of old, the Villa that we whopped 5-0 in the FA Cup final, a couple of years back. But I was like, there's no way. Like, he's just gonna fuck it. They might score 1 or 2, and it might be good. Grealish might do some shit and fall over. But you've got the firepower to put these pricks away. Like, I'm not watching a foregone conclusion. The Seahawks are on a hot streak. I'm loving it. Let's roll. I don't know. It's like, what the fuck is going? He's taking the piss. I genuinely did not believe you. Like, I know, I didn't believe you when you said it. But normally, if somebody texts you with a ridiculous fucking scoreline, you're going to...
The first message I sent you was that, Villa are 4-1 up.
I literally checked. I did not... I thought it went... He clearly taking a piss out of me. Checked. I went, what the fuck? Actually, I think in between you telling me that and me checking, another goal had been scored. I think it was... 4-2 or something like that.
It was like 3-1 and then 4-1 is when you started. Like, yeah. But
that's what I said.
That's what it was. Yeah.
That was when I sent you the screenshot of the Sky Sports live.
The
headline. Honestly, Villa are beating Liverpool
5-2. Yeah, it was 5-2 when the scoreline was, and then it became 7-2.
Fuck.
It was so bizarre, such a weird. Like, I wouldn't mind.
Let's start at the start.
Yes, let's do that. Yes, so
the uneventful palate cleanser that was Saturday.
Yes, the pea soup before the Big Lobster dinner, and boy, was this a fucking pea soup. Wolves kicks off our action here in the Premier League rundown with a exciting 1-0 win against Fulham. I suppose like on paper a better performance than Fulham, but Wolves could have easily scored more here. Like, they looked a lot sharper, by and large.
Should have. I think that's the kind of worrying thing, that when you watch this match and you think, well, Wolves completely outplayed Fulham, and you think, oh, they only scored 1 goal. That doesn't bode well. Like, when you're dominating and you're only winning by 1, and by the way, this is a fucking domination.
Yeah.
Like, when you're all over another team and you're only winning by 1, like that says some things about you as well. Like the other team, like Fulham did not really play very well. They certainly didn't
That's
play.
classic 2011, 2012 Arsenal, where we had
Yeah.
like 80% possession in every game and like 14 shots on target per half. But then we'd only win 1-0, scrape a win at 1-0, or get caught in a counter attack and last 89th minute and lose.
Do you think they're missing Jota?
Very much so. You can't lose a player of that caliber. Did they even replace him?
In a sense, they did in a manner of speaking, they did. They do have replacements in positionally in Neto and Podence, but work rate probably not.
No,
you can't lose a player of that caliber and not suffer.
Yeah, that's fair. Fulham though did look a little bit sharper with Lookman in the team. They signed him from Leipzig. We were doing a transfer roundup at the end of the show, and Lookman was one of their loan signings, one of like 17,000 this summer. And he looks good. Like he looks like a very good shot because what they're playing in like an inside flank, and they basically said, right, you have one job, and that's to run with the ball. It's like I can do that. In fact, I got bought by Leipzig to do that. So yeah, we can do that.
It's the only thing I do.
It's the only thing he's good at. 17 million well spent, lads. But yeah, it wasn't much there. Fulham just need another striker, really. Someone to pair up with Mitrovic who can actually score a goal.
And they need centre backs. Remember Tony Khan sent out a plea on Twitter.
They signed 2 centre backs. They're sorted. We got that done. They may have been 7th or 8th on the list, but we signed them. So that's all that matters.
One thing though, it was Fulham's goalkeeper that kept them kind of in it.
Yeah,
a lot more.
Areola, yeah, great disc.
Yeah, the unfortunately named Areola.
Can we call him that from now on? Is that his full name?
Oh yeah, change approved. I did not realize that wasn't his name.
Change approved. There we go. Just started.
Just on that, Wolves have not been firing at the same cylinders that they were last year, and I do think Jota is a huge part of that. And it's really, really, really crippling my fantasy football team because I went all out and got Traore and Jimenez, and Jimenez was my fucking captain.
You got arm grease in as well, yeah.
Of
Naturally,
course, yeah.
As a tradition.
But it'd be interesting. I say if you're a Wolves fan, this season's gonna be a lot tougher than last season. But for the neutral to see, which Wolves is going to turn up today, for the rest of us, that would be an interesting kind of thing to watch out for.
Yeah, I think they'll be okay because I think like a lot of teams.
They're definitely going to be okay.
Yeah, it's a slow start. Like Europa League campaign, very depleted team at the time, so I think they will be okay. It's just going to be a slow start for them, as you kind of expected. And moving on then to Southampton West Brom. It was a regulation 2-0 win for Southampton. Shockingly, though, the goals were not scored by Danny Ings. Would you believe?
I don't believe it.
I know you don't. That's why I'm saying it. But yes, the two actually really good goals. I have to say, like Genepo's goal was a Cruyff turn in the box and just drilled it home. It was literally, I think, the one bit of skill I've seen from him since he joined Southampton. And the second goal was a volley, like a ricocheted volley off Oriol Romeu. As in the ball ricocheted off somebody, and instead of like leaving it to Ings, he just said "fuck off" and hit the ball into the net. Like it was a great goal. Yeah. It was what you expect in this game. Like Southampton just had enough.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it was just one of those things you've not seen since a comfortable Southampton win that was never really in doubt.
And a clean sheet as well. Like
really but it was against West Brom.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Clean sheets are clean sheets,
Although, I would be interested, just based on the performance of West Brom the last, I suppose, 3 matches. Will they them and Fulham will be in a race to the bottom, I think. But will they get more points than Derby did?
Oh yeah, I mean Derby, lots of people. I very vividly, as a kind of like PTSD flashback, remember that Derby season. It was like
they were bad.
Thinking.
As I recall, their most prominent goal threat was Rory Delap.
Yeah,
who was playing left back,
famous for throwing the ball in.
Yeah,
putting it in the net. They were you look back over that Derby campaign, it was fucking stinking.
Yeah.
I don't think teams just don't exist that are that bad anymore. It's kind of like Eddie the Eagle, the amateur ski jumper.
Fucking great
I don't
comparison.
know. I honestly don't know. I think West Brom could push them in terms of absolute lack of ability, and Fulham's ability but funneled into the wrong positions.
Yeah.
Like I think individually Fulham have the enough good players in there to stick around for, you know, much more of the season before getting relegated. But they just have the wrong skill set in the wrong positions, and like they just make odd choices.
Really quite odd choices. Although I will say one thing: if West Brom are to not exactly stay up, but at least beat, not succumb to the Derby campaign, it will be again. I'll mention another goalkeeper as well. Johnston had a great fucking game for West Brom, even though like they lost 2-0. He made an unbelievable, damn near point blank double save that really had to be seen to be believed. It fucking really was. Like I think it was Kyle Walker.
It was Walker Peters initially, and then I think it was Genepo with the follow-up, I think. Yeah.
Oh, and like literally both of them were like fired with some
venom.
Fucking welly at damn near point blank range. You're like, fucking hell, how the fuck did he stop? He stopped both of them. Like you wouldn't put any amount of money on them stopping either one.
Yeah.
He got to both of them. It was fantastic.
Yeah, what I would say about West Brom and Fulham, because I know that the actual window, the transfer window, the big one, if you like, is closed, but there is still a second window open for domestic transfers. So, like, if Premier League wants to make a deal with the EFL, there's another week to do that. So that window's closing at the 16th. So I would expect Fulham and Bromley to perhaps do a bit of business with Championship teams. I know Bromley are looking for a Huddersfield striker, so they might get him in the door, but they're spending a lot of money on him.
Since the full-time whistle on this match, Southampton signed Diallo.
Yes, and he's fucking tasty.
He's going to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the next game.
Yeah, very well touted.
Fucking decent. We might actually get a decent Southampton side.
Wouldn't it be nice? It'd be nice to see a proper midfield.
Theo.
Yes, that's interesting too. Oh yeah, tasty deal. Yeah. We'll all get to that in the transfer roundup. Next on my list then is Alan St. Maximin 3, Burnley 1. I watched this game, lads. Alan St. Maximin is class. That's all I have to say in this match. He was fucking good.
Yeah. Like
he made Burnley look like fucking mugs.
Like the thing was, like last season when he came in, like he had all of the build up, but absolutely no finish. And it was infuriating to watch. And like, because you could see, like, this guy obviously has some moves, he has some swagger. This is like, you know, he has potential to be a world beater.
Yeah.
But then, like, his shooting was like absolutely horrendous, and his crossing and his final pass and his decision making. It's like literally he was 50% of a player. Whereas I think now he's got up to at least 80% of a player. I do think there's another step up he can go again.
Oh, totally.
But like,
it was
like against Burnley, like, you know, you can play at 80%, I suppose, if you're a player like him, and still ravage them.
He was also helped out with Jeff Shimmy Hendricks on the other flank, also making shite of Burnley, but didn't get the plaudits as well. Which is the reason why. So the two of them absolutely marauding down the flanks meant that Burnley had pretty much no arms.
Burnley are like absolutely like destroyed with injuries, though, aren't they?
I don't think they don't even have injuries. The problem is they have no money. Like Burnley, we'll get to it later on, but Burnley have only spent £1 million in the transfer window, and that's like there's League One sides that are actually outfunded by Burnley at this point. They have no money, and the problem is that like they recognise that if they were to sell their players like Pope and Tarkovsky, yes, they probably get 90 to 100 million for the two of those players together, and maybe one or two others. But the reality is they will get relegated because they won't be able to replace them. You know, so they're down that they don't, and that's why Sean Dyche, I think, feels like he's in a bit of trouble this season, because he has to work on what he has, and the problem is, again, we'll get to it, he's ultimately lost 3 midfielders over the summer and cannot replace them.
One of them, Jeff Hendricks.
One of there's Hendricks. Aaron Lennon's gone. One of his youngsters is gone as well. It's not looking good for them, you know. But even then, but to Burnley, you see, like that's still a massive loss because he can't replace these players. They're relying on youngsters who they don't have the greatest youth academy in the world, but they have a pathway. They can make a path forward. You know what I mean? So either way, like again, it was a good result for Newcastle. They had that bit of moxie. That's all they needed. So it was what they needed from that sense. While Burkbot's getting reinforcements, barrage at her at the moment. Let's move on to the Arsenal game, which was a 2-1 win against the overlapping centre backs. It was a decent game. They gave you an honest fight, but you had enough in the end, didn't you?
Do you want to take this, Neil?
How lucky is David Luiz on a scale of 1 to 0?
Well, no, right. First off, it's bollocks, all right? To see people shite on about the fact that he should have been sent off for a shirt pull when fucking Sheffield had players absolutely diving in. With,
yeah, Ollie Burke.
Yeah.
Like 2-footed tackle off the ground.
Like he's off.
Berge, yeah. Berge,
like,
it was, yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it wasn't Ollie Burke.
He's hopped off his feet. He slid in. He's gone in, stood up. He's landed on his shin. He's missed the ball. Like, how many more red card boxes do you want me to fucking tick? What did you want them to do? Afterwards, stand up and teabag him? Like, fucking hell. Like, and then they see, like, don't get me wrong. I literally don't pay a single ounce of attention to fuckers like Souness. But just to hear people listen to Souness shiting on that Luiz should have been sent off for a short pull 45 yards from goal when our goalkeeper would have gotten to the ball anyway. You know, like, fuck off, Souness.
A short pull, no less, that he did for like a second and immediately stopped.
Yeah, and that also that they were guilty of as well. They were doing it all over the place.
Well, like I said, John Egan got sent off for it 2 weeks ago, so that's why the argument is there. But yeah,
that's stupid it is, you know. And also, of all the people to be fucking criticised about, Souness, Hatchet Souness, the fucking madman with the mustache, get the fucking bow.
I'm sure his comments the next day, with the Man United match and Lamela and the handbags between Martial and Lamela, he's like, oh, it's very Latin. It's like, oh, you bigoted fuck.
She showed himself up there a little bit, all right, yeah.
He's a dickhead. He's an absolute knobstain. And he knew that, basically, it's clickbait. He was clickbaity commentating. That's all that was. But I will say one of the things, though, that from an Arsenal point of view, is that quite happy with how Pepe turned the entire game around pretty much all on his own, which hopefully goes some way to showing why we spent so much, why we actually got him in the first place. Because we'd no incision before he came on the pitch. We'd no drive, really. Nobody was really looking to get forward. And also another good thing as well is that when Pepe came on, Aubameyang was shifted to the centre. Which is controversial for a lot of fucking Arsenal fans. You know, Aubameyang playing through the middle, bollocks. But he did play through the middle, and he had a great game. He really did. Stats-wise, then we fucking didn't. But the way him being almost... His
movement off the ball was like...
Sheffield
allowed the space for the other players. Yeah.
Sheffield double marked him because you put Aubameyang front and centre of your defence. They're going to go, I'm sticking with this guy, right? Fuck the rest of them, you know. But it just allowed like Willian and Pepe in particular. They just tore Sheffield apart, and it was great to see.
Yeah, it's a good result.
Just on that, I know I said at the start that I watched Arsenal on the Sunday. That is true because I watched this match live, but it was at the same time as Arsenal women. And I realized after the game that I didn't really give it 50-50 like attention. So I rewatched it again on the Sunday, which is how I got mixed up there. But we will talk about that Arsenal women thing, I think, later as well.
Also, another good thing about this, Bellerin had a fantastic game. Set up both goals.
Yes, he was unreal. And like, there's been a lot of talk on Arsenal Twitter, like around the fan base, kind of when he was being touted as being sold to PSG. A lot of people were like, "Oh, delighted with that, like getting the dead weight off the books." I'm like, what the absolute fuck is wrong with you? You've got Ozil there sitting on his fucking arse doing nothing. Bellerin, who's obviously, and I've mentioned this before in the podcast, I do have a soft spot for players who've done their ACL because I know what it's like to try and come back from that. And it's a fucking horrendous rehab. And when you come back, 90% of your issues on a pitch is going to be psychological.
Yeah.
So if you're making shit passes and then people are jumping on your back for your shit pass, like that's going to play on your mind even more. I'm fucking delighted for him. Like, and I think this, like, very much was a fuck you to the Arsenal stands looking at trying to get Maitland-Niles as our first choice right back.
I don't understand it. Like, I don't know why Liverpool or football Twitter is like this, because I had the same argument. I had the same row like a few weeks ago with Liverpool Twitter. I want to call. Can we call them truthers or something? Because that's what they are. It's like a fucking the MAGA equivalent of football Twitter.
Dickheads.
I know they're dickheads, but I'm gonna call them. I have to call them something more derogatory than that.
Call them absolute straight up dickheads, because Bellerin's passing, like everything he did in the match against Sheffield was fucking perfect. His overlaps were fucking absolutely razor sharp. His chipped ball for Saka couldn't have been any fucking sweeter if he'd have dusted the fucking football with caster sugar. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, but Maitland-Niles would have had 3 assists and would have cured cancer.
All Saka had to do literally was just be in the way. Now, obviously, he just put his head through it to make sure. Fair play. No problem with a fucking guy doing that. But no, man, like, I was so delighted, both for Pepe, who probably shut up a lot of doubters, and for Bellerin, who definitely fucking did.
Definitely. Moving on then to another London side, this time Chelsea. It's actually a bit of a London derby, now that I think of it. Chelsea 4, Crystal Palace 0. Crystal Palace's title challenge has officially been curtailed by Chelsea, by Frank Lampard's Chelsea, finally getting back on the wagon, lads. And all it took was buying a new goalkeeper.
This is one of those matches where you're watching it and you're looking at the scoreline and you're like, is this a parallel universe? Because
doubt.
Because Chelsea were fucking awful, yet managed to put the ball in the net 4 times.
Twice, yeah, 2 penalties now, in fairness.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like I felt so bad for Palace because they were great. Both teams were not great, but Chelsea were a lot worse than Palace, and just one of those bizarre matches where you're just like, nah, I've taken acid.
I love how calm you are about it. It's like, yep, no, this is acid, all right. Yeah, I remember that color.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Palace is that, like, they were all industry up until the final third. I mean, like, they did not have a single shot on target the entire game. Eze had a good game, but I don't know. I think what I found quite hilarious about this was that Chelsea won by simply going back, rejecting all their high price imports, and going back to.
That's how they've won. That's been their best performances this season. Is literally relying on.
In order to arrest the fucking rot, the downward trajectory of all of their performances. Now, this wasn't exactly a very good performance either, but it was a lot better than our last one.
Yes.
And the thing that they changed from their last performance was all of the players that they bought in to replace all of the youth players that they used. They just played the youth players. This one that they fucking all went. They went fucking wild.
They're giving themselves such a headache here because what do you do? Like,
this one game undermined. This one game showed that the entire 220, 240 million euro fucking, 220 million pound transfer gush was completely fucking useless. Every single bit of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like it's the same thing where like they've given themselves such a headache when they didn't really need to. All they had to do was just acknowledge the fact that they don't have defenders. Ben Chilwell, a sensible signing, yes. That they needed a left back, absolutely. Did they need a long-term replacement for Azpilicueta? Yes, they do. Go sign a right back or build up Reece James, which is obviously what they're doing. Centre backs, clean sweep. Just get them all. Just like dump out the hand, get fucking pot of greed, and just sign 4 centre backs. Do a Fulham. Doesn't matter. Goalkeeper. That was your issue. Your issue was not up front, and now you're making it an issue, as Neil said, by having this weird like schizophrenia between your 2 front lines. Like, what do you want? Do you want all the superstars, or do you want the players that actually make sense in that system? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a bit of it's a total mismatch, and it's just gonna fuck them up longer down the road until they decide who's in the team and who's not.
Absolutely. Well, like Ziyech is yet to make a start. Werner and Havertz have still not adjusted whatsoever.
Yeah.
Pulisic is only back from wrecking his hamstring in the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Gotta drop that one in.
Yeah, had to.
But yeah, like Palace frustrated Chelsea for quite a lot of this game, and like if you look at 4-0, you think, oh, Palace got absolutely bummed, but he really didn't. It's just they kept up the resistance. Then Chilwell broke it.
Yeah.
He also set up the next goal as well with a very nice cross.
It's a lovely cross.
It was quite a nice cross for fucking another defender, Zuma.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first 2 goals were scored by the only 2 goals scored from open play were scored by defenders.
Yeah.
And
Says
the
a
other
lot,
2
really.
goals were scored by Jorginho.
Yeah, but his happy little boy.
It was Tammy Abraham's birthday, lads. So like he wasn't in the game at all. Like he was thinking about that surprise party. What
Did
were the
you,
lads planning for him?
The fucking penalty stuff was weird, wasn't it? Like he tried to take the penalty off Jorginho because he already scored one and he wanted to score a penalty himself, and then like
On his birthday.
told him to fuck off, go away, chew. Like
He hadn't scored one that game though.
But it's my birthday.
My birthday. Yeah, fuck off.
And then he had a surprise party, poor bastard.
Yeah, and the way he dropped his family into it was fucking hilarious by just blaming everybody else. Like
they did, like there was a surprise party and they broke rules.
Yeah, but you don't say that. You just turn around. And apologize. You just say, "Look, sorry about this."
No, he did it. I didn't want to do it.
Exactly,
I didn't want to have a party. I just wanted a penalty.
2 weeks off. 2 weeks off.
That's the thing. Like he would have, like he blamed basically his entire family. Like he literally threw his mother to the media wolves. Going, oh no! When I came home, my family were here. My mom was everything here. Now, what am I meant to do? I was like, what you meant to do is not say that. Just turn around, apologize, go, sorry about that, lads. It was my birthday. Won't happen again. Blah. That's it. Don't fucking throw other people under the wolves.
And now we have a Daily Mail article that says, "Who is Mrs. Abraham, and is she an asylum seeker?"
Absolutely. Then he finishes the whole thing off by buying her a sink.
No, she bought him a £250,000 Lamborghini. The selfish bastard. Deport him. So moving on then to our top 5. And lads, the Moiseola revolution continues. Remote Moyes is running wild.
God.
Leicester 0, West Ham 3. And lads, this wasn't the fucking distortionary goal. This West Ham were good. West Ham were good.
Yeah, they were so good. Like I saw a thing that like Vardy had like fewer touches in this game than any other game he's ever played before because West Ham were all over him like a flannel. And then like Antonio, fucking hell, who has switched up his meds? Because he is fucking on one.
It's the combo of Antonio, Fornells, and Bowen. The fob, if you will.
Been the real surprise there.
Bowen's
revelation.
He's great. No, well, to be fair, Bowen like had that. Like he was making goals like that at Hull, but the fact that he was able to do it for West Ham now, like shows how good he is. But yeah, like they're like the fucking red arrows going forward. Like it literally.
Oh my god, it was beautiful to see. And then you're kind of looking at this going, whoa, this is like some of the passing. I think I messaged you and I was like, oh my good God, this goal was liquid football.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it was by West Ham?
Everyone's just going like, who are you and what have you done with the real West Ham?
Funnily enough, like this was, you were saying there in the last match, like you were looking at the match and looking at the scoreline and going, somebody ported in this fucking scoreline from a different alternate universe. This was my alternate. Yeah. This is my questioning the universe match. Was this like?
My one came later the weekend.
Same Leicester that absolutely stuffed Man City. 5-2. What the fuck is? What? They didn't have a single shot on target.
Nope.
Like Vardy scored an absolute beautiful goal, but it was offside in the build-up, so it was ruled out. But like Fabianski
he was actually offside. That was the correct call, by the way. He was.
Yes.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like as much as my fantasy football suffered from it, but like Oh my God, like it's just it was a really, really fun match to watch because like Leicester would do all of this kind of attempted tiki-taka football in midfield. It would go into the final third and like West Ham bossed it. And all it would be is like one long ball into like Fornells or Bowen. And it's like, oh shit, they're attacking. Oh my God, it's a goal. Oh my God, it's a great save from Schmeichel.
Schmeichel.
And like that, even though he conceded 3 goals, Schmeichel kept that fucking scoreline single digits.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a bit of a theme
Yeah,
of
no,
the match day, hasn't it? Where just teams have just completely just like boiled off. Like it's
They've gone totally to shite, except for the goalkeeper. So we're like, lads, I know how fragile we are. Can we not do? Oh, you're doing this. You're doing your thing again.
You're doing it. Why?
The Zinsberger of the male world.
It was so mad, and like it was literally like a game of everything that could go wrong did go wrong for Leicester. Amarte back after what 2 years nearly?
Yeah, a year and a half with a broken leg. Yeah,
year and a half with a broken leg, goes and wrecks his hamstring. Like you gotta feel for the fucking guy.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, you know it's not going right for you when Declan Rice is crashing fucking 40-yard shots off your cross.
Oh my God, that was some run by him. I was like, I hate that prick, but like, oh, you have to give him credit. That was absolutely fucking liquid.
It was literally like the scene of The Simpsons where Nelson's gonna throw the ball. It's like, go long. I'll do it myself. He's literally in his own. He's almost in his own box, and he's like, all right, lads, who's gonna snake it for this, lads? Oh, fuck it.
No, just me then.
He just lumbered like fucking group with a radish up his hole. And then absolutely plasters the ball off the crossbar. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is bad. This is when I thought, oh, those strips, yeah, lysergic acid.
Yeah, that's it. And that tradition very much continued going to our top 4 games. Everton 4, Brighton 2. Everton have won the league, so well done, lads. It's official. After 4 games, you've won the league.
They've clearly heard our massive subtweeting of them winning the league.
Yes.
Their inevitable march to the league title. Yeah, pretty much.
It was a good game. It was a good game.
It was really good. It was a really fun game to watch. I really like Brighton, and I really hope they stay up.
They will.
Except for Mopé. He can rot in it. He can rot in a hole. But yeah, no, the rest of them, I really like Brighton, and like they played really well, but also Everton are just fucking on fire at the time. So I think maybe Everton of like during the summer, Brighton would have stomped them 5-0. But yeah, no, it just didn't work out on the day because Everton were fucking class, which is weird for me to say, and I don't like it, so I'm gonna drink.
See, Everton are class in spite of Everton. Right.
Yeah. It's in spite. Like you look at this and you think, what the fuck would they have been doing the last couple of decades, if they actually got a functioning midfield? If any of the previous managers got a function, even then, like the whole thing about Everton is just completely Wonderland shit. Like they've got Carlo Ancelotti as the manager. Still can't believe it. They now have James Rodriguez
for free. Real Madrid for free. They pay no money for him.
Like. I don't know, like maybe later on or something like that we'll get onto the telenovela that is La Liga, in particular the exodus from Barcelona, which is just fucking hilarious. They're paying opposition teams to take their players.
Yes.
Which they did. They paid Atletico Madrid 7 million to take Suarez.
Mm-hmm.
And then pulled out of the deal at the last second when they realized it was Atletico, because they'd meant to state that he could go to any other team bar Atletico, because they still have a huge bugbear over who was it?
Griezmann.
What?
It was the Griezmann deal. Atletico never loved.
Who was the player that Barcelona sold to Atletico, and then he wound up like scoring against them and putting him out of the Champions League final or the semi-final or something like that.
Oh shit! Yeah. Bollocks.
Wasn't it Silva? No, it wasn't that Silva.
No, it wasn't. Shit, who was it? Lucas Hernandez?
No. It was a really short second name. like 4 letters.
Oh shit. It'll come back to us.
It's come back to us anyway.
Yeah.
But
Rat?
yeah, like the mere fact that
Rat?
No. I'll have to look it up. I'll look it up on the thing. But yeah, the mere fact that they've got all these players playing for Everton of all players, I just can't believe it. And yeah, it's just they're playing really well. You know, like,
Yeah.
It's mad.
But they're playing really well in spite of having Pickford still in goal. Because he completely fucked up. Like the first Brighton goal was a fucking disaster. And like, as I said, like Everton last year would have capitulated after that result. But the sheer fact that they have such like class in the midfield, and it's so bizarre to say that now, but Everton, they actually have class in that midfield.
It's weird to say they even have a midfield.
Yes. A functioning midfield at that. They all work together. It makes sense.
They've got one been bossed by fucking James Rodriguez. And I'm going, what?
It's mad. And the thing is, like again, the game was really entertaining because Brighton were in it. Like, now granted, I think like Brighton could have easily, like the 2 of the Everton goals, I think were a bit soft from a defending point of view. Like I think Trossard like played a ball across his front line. Is like, what the fuck are you doing? Like that's just like you have 2 like poachers in Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. You're not doing that. You're absolutely not doing that. But the second Brighton goal, the Basuma goal, oh lads, it was something else. Like I can't put it into words. It was such a great goal.
Too bad it came in like 4-1 down.
Yeah. It was a shame, but you know, it was a thought that counts, lads. It's the thought that counts.
It was quite a shame. Like it was. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to detract from that it was a fucking walk of a goal. But come on.
Yeah, it was bad. But yeah, again, like this is just another step on Carlo Ancelotti's inevitable road to glory, and we're all on the Everton train. It's all full of toffee. It's a bit sticky, but we're here, lads.
At this rate, he's gonna cure COVID.
He could. Like Carlo Ancelotti is one of the managers I think who could actually find a solution to COVID by just working a solid diamond midfield around the COVID and self-isolating it. It's perfect.
Yeah. We
should have him in charge of Neffet instead of get him in for Minister of Health instead of Stephen fucking Egghead Donnelly. It'd be better. So moving on then to our top 3. It was billed as a master versus the apprentice. In actuality, it was Leeds versus Manchester City, and ended up as a 1-1 draw. But the question I'll ask you, boy and girl, should it have been a 1-1 draw? Should Leeds have won this match?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider that Leeds had 7 shots on target to Man City's 1. So even if Man City literally scored with every shot on target they had in this game, and it was still 1-1.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I'm like, with the sheer amount of firepower that they could unleash, even in their weekend, and a fucking serious quotation marks for that one.
Yeah.
Fuck me, like.
I really like Leeds. Like I just think they're an enjoyable team to watch because
they're
like
so fun.
It's like they could come out and like be a surprise winner against like a top 4 team or whatever, or you know, they could get absolutely fucking roasted by West Brom. Who knows? Let's figure out, like, you know, let's see how the dice rolls with this. But
Absolutely.
like, you've got the likes of Rodrigo. He's some fucking player.
I love Rodrigo. I've always rated him. Like I've even said that at the start of the season, was like he's a football manager like sweetheart. I've always thought he's always been that type of player. It's like, oh, he's young and good and Spanish. He'll work. And like, yeah, he does actually work. It's just like, I'm glad to see real life is finally on the football manager train here. All we need is Freddie Adu to make his comeback, and the world is a better place again.
Yeah,
you know.
And also
Look.
Go.
No, I was just going to say, like, Man City, like, obviously so many people wish them harm, and rightly so. But they are, I'm just so glad that like, you know, a newly promoted team like Leeds can absolutely play them off the fucking pitch because they are so used ordinary. To being, it was great fun just to see them be shit.
I really loved Klitsch in this game. When I was watching it back, I just saw, like, I've never seen. It's very rare I see a footballer and like immediately notice how well control of the ball he is. And that'll sound weird, but like I've always attributed like something like that, like a great control of the ball, to someone like Wijnaldum, for example, who always keep the ball tight to him, close to him. You very rarely see someone pickpocket Wijnaldum. previous match not included there, but but the thing is that like you very rarely see that. With Klitsch, it looks like you'd actually have to suplex the player to get the ball off him because
Yeah,
it's just
A
stuck
bit
with
like Leah Volti at Arsenal has that ability where as soon as he gets the ball to her feet, like she's called snake hips because she sends you one way and just keeps the ball and like like that in the last match that actually did get pickpocketed for the first time in probably her career by her reaction, which was just like, what?
this
I
wasn't meant
lost
to
the
happen.
ball. Wait, I have to track back now. Oh, and then they scored. But
and another player.
Yeah, no, like that. Yeah, he just gets the ball to his feet. You're not getting it off him.
Yeah.
No, the fact that he pretty much had free reign of the like Manchester midfield as well, which is so bizarre. Granted, like the Manchester midfield is not designed for a press. It's not designed to close off anybody. They leave that to the defenders, with exception, and Fernandinho obviously when he's alive. But like,
isn't that the main problem with them? That's the reason why they keep getting stuffed. It's because they don't press as a team. Like I think that's the reason why they were so susceptible to the high ball is because. I'm like, well, actually, I'll cover this in the Liverpool game because Liverpool do the exact same thing in that they play a high line, but don't play it with a press. And that means you're fucking wide open to the ball over the top.
Man City have this system called the 6-second rule, where basically if you lose the ball, you've got 6 seconds to get it back, and that's your press. If you do not get it back by that point, you get back into your shape and start defending. That's what Leeds did so well because they obviously were able to like. They had more possession than Man City. I think they like outraged by 56-44. So they had more possession overall, which Man City don't like. They don't like not having possession. I think if you even had to run the numbers from like the Man City the Arsenal and Liverpool games they've lost over the years, the reason why they lose them is because they don't have the possession to make things work. So once they're stifled at the ball, that's when bad things happen. But then, of course, you can beat them on the counter like Wolves have done and various other teams have as well. There's two ways to do it. Leeds did it the hard way. They took possession, they claimed the ball, they claimed the initiative of the game.
Yeah, and ultimately they took advantage of a fucking awful howler.
Oh, Jesus. Like, again, it's just...
I will admit,
it's been a game for it.
Normally I would plow into a goalkeeper who fucks up and costs his team potentially 3 points. But I think it was very much all that Ederson saved them 1 point because he made about 5 or 6 fucking really good saves. As I said before, Leeds had 7 shots on target. You know, and they weren't just straight at the keeper. All he has to do was lie on the ball. They were good fucking shots. Leeds really did try to win this one.
Yeah.
They did.
And props to Meslier as well because he made a brilliant save to snuff out Sterling. And he's 20, lads. He's 20 and 5'10". Like, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Although I will say one thing. I will end this coverage with the match saying that one of the funniest tweets I had me laughing out loud, which is, I think Mateus Klitsch's Klitsch's back heels are my favorite thing in the whole world.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That really Klitsch's the deal.
Wholesome.
Nice.
Quite wholesome.
Speaking of wholesome.
Now from wholesome into downright fucking decadent.
Yes. Manchester United 1, Spurs 6. Right, so starting off, Spurs conceded a penalty.
Start off.
Me.
Yeah, Burkbot, you got this?
Okay, so just to give you a bit of background on this.
I honestly thought you were just going to start laughing into the microphone repeatedly.
It was just the way you said it. I was like, you know shit.
No, so I turned on this match and Nordy was like, oh, this is the last match now. I'm so sick of watching football all weekend. And he was like, I can't even believe you're watching Spurs. And I was like, yeah, but like it's Mourinho versus Mourinho's old club. And both my 2 least favorite teams, like, you know, obviously it's a very close race between the Chelsea, Spuds and Man United. But like, I was like, I'm just looking forward to this being a shit show. And oh my God, I could not believe how much of a shit show this was. Because, what was it, 30 seconds into the game, Sissoko trips over, like, it's such a bad penalty to concede. Like, it's so stupid.
Like, it wasn't
like Sissoko runs like a baby gazelle. Like, oh, yeah. He runs like a baby gazelle at the best of times, as in absolutely no balance and legs going everywhere. But, like, this was just fucking shambolic. Anyway, stupid fucking run up and penalty. Like, you know, it was scored, but it was just like, oh, he's gonna fucking rue that. But like, that by taking the penalty that stupidly, he's gonna fire up Spurs because they are a bit of a no nonsense team in that sort of way. And then the fucking handbags. So like you've got Lamela like elbows Martial in the face, and he taps him back and gets sent off. And VAR, they looked at this, and VAR only sent Martial off.
Well, we know this from fucking Mane on Tierney. Elbow smashes to the face apparently aren't red card offences anymore. You can
but not like
you just double axe handle somebody to the mush, and it's not gonna work, man.
But then like so from the resulting corner, I think it was, or pretty much from that whole
they scored
situation.
From that corner,
Bailey then, as well from the kick out a few minutes later, passes it straight to Spurs, and like it's 2-1 like within the space of 2 minutes. Like, oh my god, just shambolic.
Can I just throw in there, by the way, between the actual equaliser was because of Harry Maguire giving the ball away and then spooning Luke Shaw in the penalty box.
Exactly. It was just like I think the funniest one. I think you could set the equaliser, like you could set footage of the equaliser to Benny Hill music, and it would match perfect. Maguire not only fucks the pass out, but then decides to foul his own left back. Like, and I mean properly foul. Like, if Shaw had been in a Spurs jersey, that would have been an absolute stonewall penalty. But only for the fact that the rules specifically say a foul has to be committed by an opposition player is the only reason that wasn't a fucking penalty. He absolutely takes Luke Shaw out and screams at Luke Shaw for having the temerity to be fouled.
Of getting in my way.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh my god, man! Like,
but. Nordy had left in a huff because I'd put football on again, and he came back into the room, whatever it was, 5 minutes later, and I was like, 3 goals, a penalty, red card, and he goes, oh, it is interesting. So, and then he left because he left the entire house because he's like, now she's interested in the football. It's not even going to be just passively on in the background.
He just started playing with ducks for an hour and a half.
So he goes off for a walk, and like I literally heard the door of the building close, and I messaged him, was like, oh, it's 3-1 now. Oh my god. So he arrived back, so the match went on, and whatever happened in the match, like Spurs did well, fuck's sake. United did. I'm so conflicted in this because Spurs are doing well, but at the same time United are being so fucking trash. It is glorious to see. But he arrived back to see Patrice Evra crying, which was just like, isn't that guy who used to play for United? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, why is he crying? And I was like, they just lost 6-1. All right. Holy fuck, shit, like Spurs won 6-1. And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, oh, even he knew Jose Mourinho was going to be smug as fuck.
That's the only thing about this. Like, if it had been any other team,
in terms of drama, I was like, I've ended the week on such a high dramatic note for a match. It's just going to be snooze fest over at Anfield, or no, Villa Park. I'll let you have the TV now, Nordy, and then I fucking regretted that one.
I know I will say one thing, like, fuck me, like any other team other than Spurs taking United to the fucking cleaners like this, I would have literally had to go clean myself up. But I was just pissing myself laughing. They're so terrible.
Like, Leeds and United have such a historic hatred. I can't wait for the Leeds United match where Leeds absolutely.
It's unfortunately during the Christmas, I think. Leeds United. I think that's a Boxing Day fixture, I think. As far as I know. I could be wrong with that. I think it is.
In all fairness, problems like what we saw with United today don't get fixed overnight. And they certainly won't be fixed by a 33-year-old Edison Cavani.
We'll get to this at the end of the show when we're
Anyway.
going to be very, very honest about the transfer session. But yeah, about that match, like we'll get to that. What we'll say about this is like this was coming for United all season. It was like if you look at the Brighton game, they shouldn't have won that. If you look at the Palace game, that was well-deserved loss. Like their performance was not there. Out of all the teams this season, you would argue that United have not had an adequate like preparation into the season. I know we'll say like Fulham look really poor and Burnley obviously are depleted and various different teams are kind of coming back off this like extra week break and all this stuff, and they're all at different levels and peaks. I'll go back to my talking about Liverpool, but with United, you can absolutely see they're not ready to play football. It's very poignantly obvious from the way they're playing.
It's also the coach. It's also Solskjaer.
Yeah. There's no organization.
That's
what I'm saying.
Solskjaer. Now, don't get me wrong. Like he was saying, you can't let we were slagging off Lampard in the last match for saying you can't legislate for mistakes. And in much the same way, Solskjaer can't legislate for his team captain deciding to foul his own left back in a run up to a goal.
Yeah.
But, like, where the fuck? Like, where is he like G'ing up the team? Like, they came out for the second half after this. Beware, like half those goals were scored in the first half, the other half in the second. All right, like they came out in the second half. They were the exact same fucking team. There was no increase.
Have you seen that? The team morale within the United squad, they have very deep concerns about Fernandes and Van de Beek. Van de Beek, we've already spoken about how he has criticized the training. Wasn't it him who was criticizing?
Van de Beek was criticizing the training. Yeah.
Hot on the heels of Alexis criticizing the training. Yeah.
So it just seems that there's a malaise there at the club, and
they were saying
it's not just COVID.
Yeah, no, they were saying that with the Fernandes substitution, the reason why he went off at half time was because he just railed. He spent the entire half time apparently just railing at Maguire the entire time, just screaming at him, going, "You're not fit to wear the shirt. You're definitely not fit to be team captain." Both of which I agree with.
Yeah, he is. No, he's absolutely right.
Apparently his outburst was so bad that they subbed him off at half time.
Yeah.
Like the goal scorer, the only midfielder there who does fucking anything. So yeah, like this is
bizarre, isn't it? It's so weird because
it's better and it's gonna be hilarious.
It is, because like it's what happens next. This is the thing, like again, out of all the bizarre results like from this weekend, and again we'll get to the main event now, but the United one is something you can see happening again and again and again.
I actually see it like I foresee a shit show in our next match.
I think it's against Sheffield, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure.
I think it's Sheffield, yeah.
Which is almost guaranteed that like they're gonna just walk. They're actually gonna mince Sheffield, you know. Because I've said it. But no, this is there's some serious issues. There's some serious fucking issues.
Indeed. Yeah. Speaking of serious issues, lads, the main event. Right. So let's set the scene here, right? Again, this is a real like where were you moment in football. Where were you when this happened? Where were you when fucking Robbie Keane put the ball in the back of the Germany net? Where were you when this goal happened?
Where were you when this happened?
Here's what this is, right? I was doing a fucking wrestling RPG, right? We got to the tail end of it. I was in the more prominent part, so I had to think about it. Every time I looked at the telly, the scoreline was changing. I was like, right, that's an issue. I will deal with you in a minute. Finish off this first. It's like there. Okay, right, lads. Right, how are we getting on? Yeah, okay. This match is fucking awesome. This is really good. It's a lot better than the fucking match on TV. I'm gonna keep fucking ignoring that. So at the point of me logging off and finishing off what I was doing, it was 4-1, and I was going, right, what's happening here? And then I was able to catch up, and I saw, okay, the first goal was an Adrian Howler. The second goal was just genuinely good play from Villa. Third goal, fourth goal were all defensive calamities of one way or the other. And then the second half somehow got worse.
Yeah, no, Adrian was fucking terrible.
Everyone was terrible. And no one is.
Oh no. I understand. Yeah, like but there's some serious absolutely shred. Like you had concerns about Adrian. We've actually spoken about this not before, well, actually, yeah, before on this podcast and also in person as well. You had concerns about Adrian, and I really liked him for West Ham when you signed him. And when you signed him, I was like, he's actually a very fucking good goalkeeper. There's something's gone wrong because he was fucking garbage. And just to kind of prelude your I was watching another match, and with this on in the background, I was listening to the Second Captain's podcast, and Ken Early said that he was typing out his absolute evisceration of Manchester United
As this was
going on in the background, and he said every single goal that went in just was successfully making more shite of his article. But the time he finished the article and the match had finished, he had to go back and rewrite the whole fucking thing. Because like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. This is awful. You've never seen
second worst thing I've ever seen.
Like that. And then he's just like, fucking hell, lads. I have to change all of this. You need to change the whole fucking, rewrite the whole fucking article.
Yeah.
In the space of him writing it because of this match. But my God, like, don't get me wrong. Like, as again, I said, I didn't watch the match in real time. I went back and watched it. Holy God. But people were pinging me going, like, Neil, this is awful. I was like, but people were pinging me saying, Adrian has been terrible in this game. And I was like, lads, no, you do not chip 7 solely because of your goalkeeper. All right, that's a defensive calamity. That's a team calamity. Yeah. If you're shipping huge amounts of goals because your goalkeeper's shit, you can sub him off. You've got Kelleher. He's not that bad.
He's good. I like Kelleher.
He's good. He's good. But like, if you're shipping 7 goals, that's not just your goalkeeper. You've got bigger problems. But my God, at least 4 of these were his fault.
Yeah. You could argue that with the deflections, he might have tracked them better. You could argue, but here's the thing. Here's the thing with that.
Ollie Watkins, he crashed one off the bar, didn't he? The volley he crashed off. This here it is, right? This is the typical one, because you went with the first goal as an Adrian Howler, and it is. I'm not disputing that. But I think the Ollie Watkins one that he didn't score, he whipped it in off the crossbar. I think that's a bigger highlight of how poor Adrian is, because you watch that back, right? If you're facing, and I'm talking about this, if you're behind the Liverpool goal, so you're facing it, right?
Yeah.
So you're facing outwards onto the pitch. The cross is coming in from the left, and it's a good cross, but it's not, holy shit, he swaz this motherfucker in, right? So as it's coming in, Adrian's in the center of the goal, and he's looking at it, and he runs kind of away from the cross in order to try and intercept it at where he thinks it's going to land.
Yeah.
So as he runs away from the ball, Watkins runs in and meets it for a volley at pretty much, so at the point where Watkins has kicked the ball, right, and hit it off the crossbar, Watkins is on the penalty spot, all right? So at the beginning of the cross, Adrian's pretty much in the middle, Watkins is running in. When Watkins connects, he's at the penalty spot, and Adrian's in line with the right-hand post. He's run at least 6 yards away from the fucking ball contact point. Like, it's shades of Czech's first game for us, where he went out to try and meet that cross and missed it by so much that people were like, what ball was he looking at? This is shades of that, and this is why it was so terrible.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in there? Just
please do,
I'm finished while I refuel.
So obviously over the summer we sold Emi Martinez, and there was a lot of kind of talk coming into the transfer window. It's like we can't afford to have 2 world-class goalkeepers vying for first place, and Martinez had made it clear that if he wasn't first choice, he was going to like try and go elsewhere. And then, like, I know a lot of the Arsenal podcasts that I listen to, and a lot of the, I suppose the Arsenal journos that I follow, were kind of debating the pros of keeping Martinez and selling Leno, because probably Leno would have more monetary value in the transfer window, and you'd still have a solid second keeper. Or do we try and keep Martinez as a second keeper and give him more of the cup games, more maybe league games, Europa League games and stuff like that. And then the other side of that was, well, look at Liverpool. Liverpool won the league with Alisson as their fucking second keeper. Or sorry, Adrian.
Yeah.
as their second keeper, and he's a pile of shit. And like that with Neil, I was like, I don't think he's that bad, but I could see that obviously in comparison to Alisson, yeah, he's definitely the second keeper. But we've bought in like Runnerson, who
The man
was
so good
second
he named
choice.
him twice.
It was like second keeper at Lille,
Dijon.
or wherever club we've got him from. And
Dijon, yeah.
all right. Yeah, and I'm just like
That
looking
type
at
of
that
mustard?
Alisson or
Yes.
fucking Adrian
Hey.
performance. I'm just like,
Ignore
I'm
him,
just
he's
like,
bad
what?
puns.
Like, oh fuck! If Leno
Yeah.
is out, we're fucked. But yeah, no, it was just interesting to see that. Like, I don't know, like what has happened to Adrian, because he didn't seem that bad, and now he's like that fucking awful decision making
It's
and positional play.
It's a curious case, isn't it? But I think there are reasons for it, and a lot of it has been kind of coming for the last. Well, I don't say it hasn't been coming. Like we've been stretched a lot in the first few games of the season, by Leeds in particular. Chelsea tried, but they just didn't have the right people up front. And with Arsenal, they had a good plan, a counter plan against our high press. It just didn't work out on the night. But when you're talking about Adrian, the reason and the reason I'm kind of taken, or at least the reason I'm putting down to this bad performance is the high press. We talked about it a little bit in the Leeds City game, and about how Leeds very much really worked out quite well. But here's the thing with that, right? I think the reason why we capitulated so much in this game and exposed Adrian as a pretty inadequate goalkeeper is because of the high press. So I think what's been happening is that we've stuck more or less to our same tactics as last season, which is to employ a high press from the back line and essentially use the offside trap as our safety net. Okay, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It was a very effective, defensively, it won us the league last season. The problem with that is, though, that requires a lot of mental energy and a lot of physical energy to keep that back line the way it is, keep it straight, keep it flat. And then whenever the fullbacks come forward, you have someone to protect it, that being Fabinho or Henderson, whoever's on the pitch. The second problem with that is you need to be constantly focused on that. You need to be concentrated on it. And that takes weeks of preparation. It takes weeks to get that shape back and to keep it solid. The problem with that is, though, in the preseason, again, I think the major problem with a high press is sometimes you can go too high, and essentially you give any players that play on the shoulder of your last defender a 10-15 yard run up to the goalkeeper, and immediately he's one-on-one because your back four are turning, and by the time they've turned, the player's bolted. So someone again, this is what Villa did very exceptionally well, because the two outlets they had for that game were Grealish and Barkley, who essentially played the exact same way, which was to sit on the shoulder of Gomez and Van Dijk. When they have a chance, they break, they score, and that's how it worked. They work the inside channels. Perfect strategy, make complete sense. The issue I have with the way we played is that we didn't change anything. We kept that high press, and not only that, we kept going forward more, especially in the second half. That is not the right answer. That's nowhere near the right answer. And for me personally, we have to stop doing the high press now from now on, because clearly the energy levels physically and mentally are not going to be there. What you're dealing with, these are teams with no preseasons. These are teams that do not have the same fitness and mental focus that they would have had from the start of last season, when we were coming off a high from a Champions League win. We wanted to keep that dominance going in the Premier League, and we became more defensively solid and just started drinking out wins. We're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to just pump the ball forward, just get it up quicker, because again, we're seeing that these teams have the exact same problem. They're not going to be cohesively defensive. So let's just capitalize on it and get the ball to Salah and Mane and Firmino and just get them to score goals. In theory, that will work later on in the season when we have Thiago properly in the team, when Mane's back from the plague, Henderson's back on the play, we can kind of calm things down. But this has been coming. This has been coming where your tactics are flawed so much now because you don't have the right personnel in there. The high press works when Alisson's in goal, because Alisson is a sweeper keeper, and his best asset is being on the ball. He's a great passer and distributor of the ball, and is comfortable on it. Adrian is not. Adrian is about as traditional goalkeeper as we have at the club, and that's saying a lot because it's
not
fucking
even
not even
because he couldn't even say basic shots.
Yeah.
Shot
Of match practice, though, Neil, maybe.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
a lot of it
one
is.
of
A
them-
lot of the training is based on that.
I think so, but like one of them, I think it was Grealish's second, which is the 7th goal.
Yeah.
Fucking Andrew Mangan made this point on the Arse blog where it was kind of like Miedema's finish against Bristol.
Oh, the
Another one where
fucking
she sprints like 40 fucking yards and then just looks at the and passes it and
yeah.
taking a shot. She is literally just the ball. The ball is like going at a snail's pace as it crosses. Impudent finish. And Grealish's second, I think it was the second, it was one of his goals anyway, was the exact same. But it's with Grealish, he doesn't actually shoot it across the goal. He hits it at Adrian.
At Adrian, yeah.
He hits it at him, and it still goes fucking in. Like it's not a deflection. Like Adrian sells himself far too early. So Grealish was like, if I just hit it straight,
yeah,
it's going in.
He's not going to reach it. Yeah,
already moving away.
It's like I fucking mishit that. I was annoyed at myself as I hit that. Oh, it went in. Oh, great.
Yeah, great. No, Grealish is like, I'm just gonna fire this straight. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, it's one thing to be beaten near post. To be beaten near post when you're 1-on-1 and the guys just hit it straight.
Yeah.
Well, what my point was there that Adrian is not the sole reason we lost that game. The reason
absolutely not. But
the problem was that our defenders were way too high up that field, and it just didn't make sense.
Than you think. He's a bigger reason than you would think.
Because,
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Now again, there is a strong argument. There's a strong argument to put Kelleher into the Merseyside derby, and I think there's a lot of people that'll be on board with that because even the games that Kelleher has been in,
after this, they would be.
The League Cup game, if you remember the League Cup games he was in for us, which was the game against you guys last season.
Yeah.
Okay,
I remember.
He conceded 4 goals, but he was a baller when it came to like playing the ball around. He's a good footballer. And that's the thing. I think if Liverpool have a stick or twist problem here, right? Which is you either continue with this high press and continue with the system that last season worked, but with jaded players. That's fine, but you're gonna have to need a ball playing goalkeeper, as bizarre that sounds, in goal. If so, you're going to have to go with Kelleher. If not, if you're going to change your tactics to suit your goalkeeper, which we're going to have to because we're missing Allison for a month and a half, then you be a bit more pragmatic, maybe change formation, maybe not, but at least put those defenders back a little bit. Actually have a flatter back four and then let like Robertson and Trent have that run up if you want to. Either way, like you can't against an Everton side, you'll have to change something.
I think you're going to stick.
I can't see us doing that. I cannot see. That's suicide. That's suicide.
I think you'll stick.
I have a good segue.
Go for it.
Speaking of ball playing goalkeepers, Manu Zinsberger. She got a lot of stick last week against Bristol, who Arsenal bet 4-1, but we had initially gone 1-0 down through one of the tamest shots that it's been described as someone hung over reaching for the remote that's just out of range. That's what Zinsberger was like diving for the ball.
That's actually quite
which I think is an absolutely isn't it? It's a brilliant description. So she was getting a lot of flack on social media for this because she hasn't kept a clean sheet convincingly for a number of matches, especially this season. She's always kind of a heart attack keeper because she's such a ball playing goalkeeper. And this is where one of the I don't know who tweeted it because whoever tweeted it, their name has been cropped out and retweeted without the name being attached. I think to preserve their safety. But they tweeted like Manu Zinsberger is not the Arsenal goalkeeper because she's a good goalkeeper. She's in there because she's one of the best two-footed keepers. She's not in there to make saves. She's in there to make passes. And whoever tweeted this has just been eviscerated, obviously, by social media saying, well, you need a goalkeeper to stop goals.
Yes,
so cop the fuck on. But yeah, Arsenal were playing in the Conti Cup week against Chelsea, and we lost 4-1, but like that, she kept us in the game. Like her stops were absolutely phenomenal. Like they were so good. There was a double save that she made where she closed down the angle, and which was good. And they're like, oh well, that's all she could have done there. And then she made the save, and the rebound came out to, I think it was Harder. And they're like, oh fuck, she did so well, but it's gone to Harder. Harder's gonna, oh no, she's fucking saved it again. And it was after the match, Joe Montemurro was asked about it, and he was like, I've seen on social media she's been getting a bit of slack, but here I just want to show, or this is proved to the haters out there. Or it wasn't in that kind of phrase, but like he was basically like, this is for the haters all out there. Like Zinsberger is a shot stopper, but also has will do a Cruyff turn in the box, and will do some flicks and tricks, and fucking have your heart in your mouth half the time watching her. But there's your segue. Ball playing goalkeeper at Arsenal to from Caoimhín Kelleher at Liverpool.
Yeah, I again, like much to your point, like I'm fascinated to see how that would go, because Jesus, it would actually probably add a lot to our team at this point, having like a 21-year-old Irishman who knows how to Cruyff turn on his back line. That would be fascinating. Stephen Kenny, I think, would just go, more, please. More, please. He's mad for that sort of weird, like, erudite football. But yeah, you mentioned the Conti Cup there. Obviously that was kind of, I suppose it's like that was this week's like women's football. We had a bit of WSL action beforehand, but talk us through the Conti Cup. Was there any kind of like, obviously you mentioned Arsenal, Chelsea there. Were there any other prominent fixtures from the competition?
Well, you would be happy to know that Liverpool done did a win.
They did a fucking great win. Let's be fair.
Yeah,
a very tough group.
Man United. Yeah, and that's kind of a shock result there. The Conti Cup. This is a continuation of last year's Conti Cup. So similarly to the FA Cup, which is being continued on from last year, the Conti Cup is following on from last year. So there will be a renewed one. But I suppose the shock result is how badly Arsenal were beaten by Chelsea. We are not playing well, and this again has been doing the rounds on Arsenal social media. Both the men's and women's have even picked this up on the absolute lack of cohesion in the Arsenal women's team. Obviously, because we're Arsenal, we are struggling with injuries at the minute. With 3 matches into the league, we've got Kim Little out, Jordan Nobbs, hat-trick hero Lisa Evans, hat-trick hero Jill Roord, all out injured with unspecified length injuries. Steph Catley, in her first match for Arsenal, got a head and neck injury, which has seen her out since. So she is nearing return in the next 2 weeks, but is still not match fit. Lydia Williams, who we signed injured, is back to contact training now this week, which is just made for very disjointed teams from Arsenal. We started off well, obviously, doing well in the first 2 matches, but performance-wise, it just wasn't there. Like scoreline-wise, we were winning, but just the performance wasn't there. But in the league itself, the WSL, there's been some really, really good matchups and some really, really good ties that have gone on. We've got Birmingham, who were very close to absolutely capitulating over the summer. Didn't make any, they had no manager for most of the summer. When they eventually did get a manager, a week before the season started, she sat down with Harriet Scott, who plays for Ireland, and was like, hey, would you like to be captain? And she was like, oh yeah, sure. So that was literally decided like the week of the WSL starting back. So there was no sort of like pre-match kind of, or there was like team bonding. Obviously with COVID, it's quite difficult to do. But they've been really good. I was very fearful for them coming back to the league this year, but no, it's looking well for them.
Because it was kind of between them and Bristol for relegation, really, wasn't it? Like as much as it was like last season.
Exactly, but I do think Bristol are just at that little bit behind now. But we also
they're going down this season.
Sophie, I feel so bad because Sophie Bagley is one of these superstar youngsters. She's a goalkeeper, and she conceded 9 against Chelsea, and one of them was her fault. Like one of them was really poor. It was such a bad goal to concede. And that was the first one, and it was like the floodgates opened despite her best efforts. But Bristol, I don't think they have enough to stay up. Who I do think, and they were kind of been touted to be down around the bottom, and I do think they're going to be around the bottom middle of the table. It'll be Brighton Hove Albion. But oh my God, they have some fucking ballers. They've gotten in one of my favorite footballers of all time, Denise O'Sullivan. So I am going to be biased in that kind of assertion that they're going to do well. But they also have Rihanna Jarrett, 3-time ACL survivor. Rihanna Jarrett, who has scored a good few goals now coming back between the Conti Cup and the league. She is doing well. And they also have Megan Connolly. Who is also balling it, scored fucking FAWSL goal of the month contender. But they're doing really well. They played Man United the last day, and the difference between Man United and Brighton was the introduction of Kristen Press and Tobin Heath.
Bringing in American internationals to beat
that made the difference.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. So they're like, just to kind of segue then onto the kind of the Americanization of the league. You've got Sam Ewis doing bits at City, and they're kind of like the Chelsea men's team of the league, where they have bought in all of this fucking talent, but it's actually their youngsters and academy kind of graduates that are doing the work for them on the pitch. Like Kira Walsh, what's her name? Caroline Weir. I know she's not. She's actually one of ours that City have taken, but she's doing for them. Georgia Stanway, though, is probably City's best player, apart from Sam Muse. Unfortunately, they are. I suppose Chloe Kelly actually. Yeah, I was about to say Chloe. Yeah.
Chloe Kelly has scored a couple of screamers, but at the same time, I feel like she's going to be overworked. She's doing she's getting all the goals. Like, she's not kind of sharing them with Ellen White at the minute. City, American talent is doing them well. And then you've got Chelsea, who have spent all the money on the likes of Harder and
that's some.
I can't even list them all. Like, their entire starting 11 is just fucking mint.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're not playing as cohesively as you think. So this league is just fully unpredictable, as unpredictable as the Premier League is at the minute.
It's they're very much in flux the minute, aren't they?
We're on an international break as well coming up now, because we've got Euro qualifiers coming up in the next bit. It is. I haven't even mentioned West Ham, who have just kind of been a little bit shit, and Reading. They're kind of always going to be fighting for who's going to be the shitter of the two there. But it's been very good, very enjoyable so far, and there has been some big kind of match day score lines, but nothing to rival the Premier League just yet.
Yeah, because I was going to say they're very much kind of in the same boat here, where like it's just like whenever there are capitulations, they're fucking capitulations. Like, they're going to be massive score lines. Whereas like last season, you would have seen a 3 or 4 or 5-0. Now they're 7, 8, 9, which is probably like as you'd expect from like just knackered players like fighting the Alamo in that sense. But you were kind of like, you were worried perhaps like a few weeks ago that this was just going to be a 3-horse race between like the team, like not even that, a 2-horse race between Chelsea and City, because of their massive like arsenals, if you pardon the pun. Which is why, like, when you mentioned the Conti Cup win against our like Conti Cup win against Man United, I think that result is so much more impressive than initially feared, because like our group is the two Man City clubs, Everton and Liverpool. And let's face it, Liverpool are bottom seeds in that group. They are by far, like in terms of quality and terms of form, they are so far away. They're light years behind those three teams. And the fact that we were able to get a really good comprehensive result against that team, and we weren't full strength really. Like we changed our goalkeeper, we changed our back line a bit. We still had Furness up front. We didn't play Fahy, I don't believe. We had Bailey instead, and she did great work, you know. And all these other players now who's been doing very well for us. And
but
like
Babajide, who is one of my favorite players.
She's so good. I'm so glad we kept her, man. Oh my god.
She's like the Saint Maximin, though. Like she has all of the swaz and swagger, and then the final product was missing last season. But I think maybe this season she's kind of found it.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, because like I was thinking, that was kind of our issue last season, was that we weren't able to play to our strengths, and perhaps a lot of that's down to Prenton Park and how much of a style it was. Now that like it's been relayed, and like you can see the difference almost immediately. Like we had a great result against London Bees at home. We've won away from home, Coventry and Durham, and now we just walked off United off the park. Like, and again, it wasn't like
I actually am really looking forward to seeing Liverpool versus Leicester City, because Leicester City have been heavily invested in this summer.
That's the battle now in the Championship, I think.
Unreal players, including Mauricia Littlejohn. But one of the best things, and Neil will love this, is that Leicester City women's mentor is none other than Super Heskey.
Oh yes. Oh, we're totally gonna lose, lads. We're fucked. The hubris.
The fucking might of that legend.
I can top that, lads. Do you know who the fucking assistant coach is for the Liverpool women's? Chris fucking Kirkland.
Fuck off.
They're both from the same team. How fucking weird is that? Kirkland and Heskey, two of Gerard Houlier's favorite people in the world, outside of maybe Morientes, maybe, and Jibril Cisse for some reason. But even then, that is such a weird brain trust. That is Heskey on one side and fucking Chris Kirkland on the other. I think Milan Barros is managing the fucking Durham team, I think, or Bruno. I think Bruno Shearer is taking over at Sunderland, doesn't he? Like, just there, and then there's like Anthony Latalek, who's just been appointed the fucking Man United coach. Hey, there he is. Bizarre, but yeah, I'm so happy about that result.
I'm really glad that we've been able to have a women's football segment in this podcast, and we haven't had to mention some signing that Spurs made, and I don't want to give her the credit of mentioning her name. So let's move on.
Because she's been garbage. Let's move on and just end the thing.
We just end on that. Say, what's her name again? Oh yeah, stop recording. But yeah, lads, that's our podcast for the minute. Yeah. So yeah, it's all well poised up for.
Yeah, like I did say the last day that Chelsea and Man City would run away with the league, and they are not running away with it so much as stumbling down the laneway drunkenly with the league. It's a bit more open than I was anticipating, and it's been more kind of enjoyable for that reason.
Yeah, like I said, both leagues are kind of well poised at the minute. It's kind of odd, like two very different circumstances, but yet they're kind of the same
Everton are winning both of them.
Yeah,
I think that is.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Entertainment through hubris and incompetence.
If it takes a global pandemic for Everton to win league titles, that says more about Everton, to be honest.
And the league as well.
And the league as well.
Nothing
Okay, qualified,
to do with Valerie Govan.
Yeah.
No, nothing at all. Complete mystery to us all. Anyway, guys, that's our podcast for this week. We're gonna come back next week and perhaps talk a little bit about the Euros, not so much. And we're gonna do a transfer roundup then next week. I give it the love it deserves in that sense. But until then, guys, thank you very much for this podcast. Neil Burkbot, as ever, you've been a pleasure. Great company. We'll see you next week on the Liquid Football Podcast. Until then, take care. Interlope.
Bye.
Bye.